Well, I'd like to call this meeting of the Champaign County Board Facilities Committee together. Thank you for all coming. Roll call, please.
Quisenberry. Here. Rector. Here. Rosales.
Here.
Schwartz. Here. Anderson. Here. Hartke. Here. Maxwell.
Here. Motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Item 4, approval of the minutes of the March 1st, 2016 meeting.
So moved.
Mr. Quisenberry, second by Mr. Hartke. Any discussion? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. At this point, item 5 is public participation, and I see I have no slips. It doesn't appear that there's anybody out there that would like to submit a slip. So at this point, I believe I will call the public participation portion of this meeting to a close. So thank you. Item 6, communications. Are there any communications from members of the committee? Hearing none, Board Chair, any communications from you? And I will offer Deb Busey the opportunity to talk as well. All right, thank you. Boy, moving right along. Probably the only actionable item we'll have tonight is item 7, approval of the contract for the ITB number 2016-003 Brookins Pod number 200 roof replacement project. And there is a composite of the bids that were received. And accordingly, we received 8 bids, 7 of them that we could open and read. And the apparent low bidder was Langlaw Roofing Incorporated of Kankakee, Illinois. Question. Mr. Quisenberry.
I'd like to make a motion that, taking the recommendation of IGW, that we award a contract to Langlaw Roofing for the base bid of $172,107 with an additional contingency of 10% of $17,210.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hartke. Discussion. Mr. Hartke.
What had we budgeted for this? Is it where we figured it'd be? I can't remember.
It's actually better, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Initially, we were looking at $350,000, so this is considerably better than what we initially thought it might be. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, IGW had expected it to be between 220 and 250, and so it's even better than their expectations.
All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Under the facility director's report, I'll ask Kurt Kirkland to fill in for Dana this evening, and I'll turn it over to Kirk. Thank you.
A couple of things that I want to talk about. The lint filtration project at the nursing home. We're running about 2 weeks behind on that project. We ran into a couple issues. Last week we had to shut down the sprinkler system and move a couple of the sprinkler pipes that were in the way. We also have a heating pipe, a 6-inch heating pipe that we need to move. It was scheduled to go this week, but with temperatures where they're at, we've kind of held off on that. So I'll be meeting with the nursing home staff tomorrow to see if we can find a date, maybe the first part of next week, But our hopes are still to have the finished product by the end of the month. So hopefully there won't be any more surprises.
Are there any questions of Kirk? Okay, you continue, Kirk.
Okay, and then the last thing is the fire smoke damper project. We're actually pretty much finished with that. Tomorrow morning, we meet with GHR to get the matrix, sign all the paperwork, and get the final report sent off to IDPH. It ended up that they checked approximately 1,000 smoke fire dampers. There was a change order for a couple things. They ended up replacing putting in 50 access doors for the smoke dampers so that they can get to them again in the future. They also spent about an extra 80 hours doing fire caulking, doing some repairs around the dampers to the firewall so that there were no penetrations. I think the change order there was about $20,000, but I think maybe Dana had already talked to you all about that. But that should be finished up tomorrow. We'll get the paperwork signed and then sent off to IDPH.
Are there questions? If not, I'll thank you, Kirk, and we'll move on with the balance of the agenda. Other business, I don't have any other business listed, or is there any that needs to come before us? Thank you. We'll move on to the chair's report. I would like to report that there will be a future meeting of the Facilities Committee that'll be held at Tuesday, May the 3rd at 6:30 p.m. in this room. Prior to the meeting, we'll have a tour of the Ilias building, and those interested in attending that tour meet in the front parking lot of the just off of Main Street at the Ilias building at 5:10 p.m. The tour will start about 5:15 and will conclude by about 6:10 p.m. Are there any questions? Hearing none, I think I'll move on to item 9 and designation items to be placed on the consent agenda. Since this is a money proposal, I would suggest that we do not put anything on the consent agenda concerning the award of this contract, but so there's nothing to put on the consent agenda. Any questions on that? If not, does somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
That is right. 8 minutes.